What's good with the people? What's good with everybody out there? I am Damo, the political plug. This is the Chop Up Show. Now, as y'all can see, I'm here one deep. Toya is back in the homeland. She back in Kansas City visiting her folks, and she will actually be joining us on Wednesday. So we got our show lined up Wednesday. So y'all see her again soon. But I had to get it in. I feel like I've been real active, you know what I'm saying, and on social media, you know what I mean, just making, my regular election like type content, and it's garnered a lot of controversy. It's been a lot of beef. The comment sections have been kind of crazy. So it only made sense, it was only right that I was like, you know what? Let's get into the comment section. Now, mind you, I don't like the typing out. I don't have the patience for it. You feel me? Like, I'd rather like say something slick. You feel me? Shout out to Emmanuel in the chat. Shout out to Hood Therapy, Shabo. And Emmanuel, Toya be back. But Toya, this is a place where me and Toya disagree. So like a lot of the conversation I'm having now, it's a lot. Toya make a lot of the same arguments that we see in the comments. So she like, yeah, you can have this one. You know what I mean? You got that conversation on your own. But since I really don't like typing shit out in comments, like as y'all gonna see, it's been a lot. It was like comment novels. You feel me? They was writing whole paragraphs. So I was like, it just make more sense to just do it on the platform. Holla at y'all, give y'all the content, and just take a look at how some of that dialogue went down. Now, I'm not gonna start out with the people that I don't like, the negative comments. I think too often when people address the comments, is always the negative comments. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start out with the positive comments. I'm gonna start out with the comments that I rock with, that agree with me, and some that one that disagree with me. But I want to make sure we start out with positivity, and I think they actually make some very good points in their comments. So we're gonna start out with some comments that I rock with. Let's do that. All right, now this is all from Instagram. This is where most of the smoke came from, on Instagram. So yeah, now for context, y'all go to the Instagram and check it out. I ain't gonna play the videos here. I want y'all to go check them out on Instagram. If y'all not following us at the Chop Up Show on Instagram, make sure y'all do that. But the videos that these people are responding to was one, like, it was conversation that y'all didn't already heard. It was me pretty much breaking down and explaining the lesser of two evils logic of voting and why people do it and why it should be defended. All right. So these arguments that I'm making about lesser of two evil votings and how it makes sense, these are some of the comments that people left in those videos. Now I'm starting with this one. This is Search E on Instagram. She said, also everyday Muslims have been saying these things too. In this video, I was I had made a video about responding to Osama bin Laden, because folks was talking about, they was like, Osama bin Laden had opened their eyes, all type of crazy stuff. Like, I'm like, you got all these black leaders out here that said all the stuff that Osama bin Laden said, which I value in Osama. Like, stop it. And plus, they killed black people anyway. Cersei made a good point though when she said everyday Muslims have been saying these things too about not valorizing people like Osama bin Laden, because it's productive people having these conversations. But they said that it's like Americans are obsessed with Muslim extremists, whether it's in a bad way to bomb us or in a good way to hail the words of a villain. But God forbid our everyday voices is heard. Now, this is where I think her comment makes a great point, because a lot of the comments that y'all gonna see responding to me are gonna be talking about genocide in the context of Hamas. But the point that she making, she says, like, who's also in Palestine, Palestinians in Myanmar, the Rohingyas in Afghanistan, the Afghanis in Iran, the Irani women in South Sudan, the Sudanese in China, the Uyghurs in India, Indian Muslims. And these are all people that suffering genocide, like currently, and have been. Even before what happened with what happened in Israel, there are many people dealing with genocide right now. And I want to get that in your head as we start to address the comments going at the lesser of two evils logic. right? Because they hammer hard on this question of genocide now as it relates to Joe Biden. But the Uyghurs, for example, they've been dealing with constant, like what we can pretty much call, and the Uyghurs are a Muslim population in Asia that's currently being persecuted by China, right? We don't really hear anything about that. Same thing like what's happening in the Congo or in the Sudanese, right? Or India, like as you see here, Indian Muslims. There are all these people who are dealing with genocide, like even before it got, and I hate to have to phrase it like this, before it got popular, right? Like all of these things have already been happening, but it's ironic that because the media is running with this genocide narrative as it relates to Palestine, now everybody cares about genocide, right? We're gonna talk about that, right? But she makes a great point when she brings that up. She says, we are a giant diaspora of people who have gone through genocides and war and have spoken about our own experiences. And this is where she talks about, again, this is still responding to people saying that Osama bin Laden is somebody that we really should be paying more attention to, I guess. But y'all go check that video out. I'm not playing the videos because y'all need to go to Instagram and watch them. All right. Y'all need to go to Instagram and watch them. But it was a video where I was responding to all the silly ass people who think that just because Osama bin Laden rides with Palestine, that all of a sudden he's not as bad as people make it seem, right? Or he had a point. Like, he ain't the only nigga saying that. He wasn't the only person saying that. And much better people are making those same arguments in much better ways. So that was a comment that I rocked with and made a point that I had been making about genocide and how it and I hate to say this, and it's gonna sound harsh, but like when it comes to imperialism, in order for imperialism to exist, genocide has to be the status quo. And that sounds extremely harsh. Like, but genocide is literally like what we talk about with critical race theory. Genocide is not an aberration of imperialism. Like what we're seeing in Palestine, what we're seeing in China, what we're seeing in Syria, what we're seeing in Sudan, what we're seeing in the Congo, that's par for the course with the people that we're dealing with. And the unfortunate part about it is, as much as we get these stories and we find out more about these things happening, because the same corporations that benefit from the genocide, like the media companies that benefit from the genocide that's happening in the Congo, like, they control how much we know about it and whether or not we care. Because I can tell you, like, what's happening in the Congo, they had a Supreme Court case that got little to no publicity. Like 3 years ago, they lost a Supreme Court case where they sued on behalf of the people of of Congo, and it went to the Supreme Court to figure out whether or not they had standing. And like the Supreme Court voted to protect U.S. tech companies from any liability as it pertains to the death of children. And this is back when kids was dying in the Congo. That got little to no like media coverage. Because what was so messed up was one of the attorneys that was arguing on behalf of the U.S. tech companies was always on MSNBC riding on Donald Trump and how bad Donald Trump was and how messed up he was for the system. But this same MSNBC attorney is arguing that U.S. tech companies aren't liable for the deaths of children in the Congo, even though they're mining for resources that these companies benefit from. Y'all let me know what y'all thinking in the chat. Make sure y'all like the video when y'all come in. Share it, do all of that. So that was one comment that I rocked with. We're going to talk more about genocide, as y'all going to see. Another one that I rock with, this is my girl, her name is Nuck Puck Nuck. You know, you never expect people to say your username out loud. So it's like but it is what it is. Because you know, she kind of be on a lot of that anti-voting, anti-democrat stuff. But then she made her point here. She said, let me clarify my stance right now. My vocal points are based around their historical strategies and tactics. So they're full hand entirety of they're not the majority by no means. She talks about voter suppression as a strategy to influence the outcome of election by discouraging and preventing people from voting. In 2013, new discriminatory voter ID laws arose following the Supreme Court's decision to strike down Section 4 of the Voting Rights Act, right, which got a lot of publicity but wasn't a lot of conversation around it. And when all these fails, the albinos, and we know who she's talking about, will use brute force. In 2001, the white mayor and the all-white board of aldermen for a small town in Carmichael, Mississippi, attempted to cancel an election shortly after black citizens became the majority registered voters. And then she said something about an African-American mayor, African-American aldermen were elected. So from experience, we know that because of voter suppression by albinos and voter apathy among poor blacks, voter turnout percentages would be much lower than white turnout percentages. Now, what she talking about specifically is we already have to deal with an uphill battle to actually even be able to vote. In places where Republicans know that the black vote play a huge role, which, I mean, is everywhere, but we're Republican controlled, all the voter ID laws that we've seen have been mainly targeted to groups and people that typically don't have ID, don't have the time to get an ID, or don't have the time to go out and vote, right? Like let's not say lower class, but like people in a lower socioeconomic status, right? So since we know we already have to deal with voter suppression, now we got to deal with the apathy of people being dejected. Hold on, let me make sure. Okay, yeah, we back. Now we have to deal with the feeling of people feeling dejected, people feeling as if, like, again, because the way Joe Biden handled the Israel-Palestine situation was horrible. He spread lies. Like, he spread very dangerous propaganda that has actually gotten children killed for real. Or, and, used as a justification to get children killed for real. So, while we can recognize that we have a reason to not feel that way, we also still have to fight the battle because there is a concerted effort to make sure that we don't. My thing is, like, why make it easier for them? If we can see that they don't want us to vote, the idea that we're powerless somehow, or our vote don't mean nothing, or we like that, like, we got to get that shit out of our head. Why do they fight so hard to actually get us to not be able to vote if we are powerless in this shit as it pertains to like what black people can do, right? And I'm gonna talk about why I feel like the lesser of two evils is the situation that we're in, but it's these niggas' fault. Well, not necessarily Nuck, but the niggas that we see, we gonna see why it's their fault that we have to do this lesser of two evils logic. You know what I'm saying? Let's get it. Now we about to get into the smoke. Now this is the nigga. This is the nigga that's on the joint that commented on the thumbnail. Now, to be fair, we pieced it up in the DMs. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause really, just to kind of let y'all understand how we got pieced up. I told dude, like, hey, because like he took the smoke to the DMs. So I told dude, look, we probably agree on more than we disagree. Because a lot of these criticisms, there's no criticism of Democrats that I disagree with. Like, I think that's the first thing niggas gotta understand. There's no criticism of this, like what the arguments that y'all gonna see here. I don't necessarily disagree with the criticism, but again, we gonna talk about what the alternative is. So this nigga said you can't scare people into voting for Joe Biden, then proceeds to try to scare us into voting for Joe Biden. But how do you sum it up? All his talks around the Republicans are feelings based. He said everything I'm saying about Republicans is feeling based. Okay, we're gonna see. Other than vote disenfranchisement, which Dems could have protected. So he's recognizing that conservatives are responsible for voter disenfranchisement. Everything else is feelings. Be scared of being shot. Be scared of the booger man. You are a coward, he says. We are not. You're using talking points that worked on our grandmothers. Okay. Now, what I'm going to show y'all tonight is data that we done already seen, that I done already showed y'all before. We done already had prior episodes about it. But this individual feels like everything I'm saying about the violence, the Trump effect, what we see from far-right extremists, it's all feelings. Oh, you going to get shot. Like, we not seeing black people get shot up in grocery stores and what's inspiring them to do it. But we're going to talk about that. So this is really what kind of sparked it all, where I was like, okay, cool, I'm with the smoke. So that's one of them. So it's everything I'm saying is feeling based, but he ain't stopped there. He was like, I know you think you smart on this. I originally followed you for a reason, which is why I know you getting paid now, because you sound the exact opposite. You know what? I wish. Really sitting here like doing this type of shit. Trust me, I would tell y'all if I was getting paid. I feel like actually you have to, like for real, like knowing, because I make political content, especially like on Instagram. You have to any type of political content, if you want to put an ad behind it to show it to more people. That's why I can't put any ads on none of my content, because it's all politically based. You feel me? But you got to have like some type of sponsorship status thing on it. I ain't got that. I ain't got that. So if y'all think I'm making this lesser of two evils argument because I'm getting paid, or like I'm some type of Democratic shield, trust me. Not only would I have to let y'all know that shit, I would let y'all know straight up, just so we would understand what page we was on. You feel me? Said it's not smart. Nothing you're saying is an original thought at all. So because I challenged them to a debate, actually, and I challenged a lot of these people to a debate. Some I actually set up. So in the future, y'all will see me debating. The comment section won't just me going through the comments. I got some people from the comment section that's actually gonna come and debate me on things that they disagree with me on these topics. All right. This is where it was crazy for me, because he says, I don't need the fake intellectualizing of genocide is not that bad. If you okay with that, fine. I'm saying stop trying to convince the rest of us who don't have the moral compass made a silly putty. Now, this is where I'm like, these niggas' comprehension is trash. My argument is the lesser of two evils. That's not, genocide is not that bad. My argument is strategy. We have to be strategic with our vote. It's not, genocide is not that bad. Like, but I feel like, you know, this is the part of the rage farming that we see with people on the left who want to vote shame people who they feel like are vote shamers. You feel me? But I'm gonna stand up for them. We got a few more comments that we're gonna go through. Again, like I said, we definitely got into this genocide conversation. This is where we're gonna see more of it. It says you forgot the currently funding genocide amongst the bring up black issues. Also, how the help you dismiss that as okay, cool, they paying you, bro. Niggas be really triggered. Niggas be so triggered that they forget the spell check. But it's cool. Can't believe y'all trying to reverse Uno vote shaming when y'all already starting it just because black people not comfortable funding genocide. Trust me, I'm shaming the hell out of anybody vote Democrat or Joe. You lack any strategy. Your moral compass is made out of silly putty because you're now okay with genocide. And Save the Trump would have done it too. That means explicitly the parties are the same, but the bigger fact is Trump didn't do it, Biden did. Probably wouldn't have been the same on Biden's watch, but it wasn't. So yeah, all y'all genocide apologists, we shaming. I let y'all move y'all moral compass on crime legislation, on black economic legislation. I let y'all trade it off for black faces and white spaces. But if y'all go all the way to genocide, not that bad, yeah, I'm shaming you. All right. So here again, there's a lack of comprehension. There's a similar conversation that is always the argument is only genocide is not that bad. You will not find me saying that shit one time, ever. And this is why the criticism I agree with. I just have a greater understanding of political strategy and imperialism than these people do. I've already dealt with these arguments. And I really hate to sound condescending, but I took the extremist position already. Like I did that shit in debate. I did that shit strategically. At a certain point, I actually got paid to make the arguments niggas is making right now. But there was one argument that I always struggled to deal with, and it was this argument entitled Seed the Political. And what happens when black people abandon political spaces, or the spaces that this individual is calling white spaces, right? What happens when we have nobody in these areas? We have nobody playing defense. As much as we complain about all the black people that we have in Congress, what happens when there's none there? With all the complaints, what is the alternative? And the alternative that we're seeing from these individuals is to remove yourself from the system. That's the weak shit. I agree with the criticism. Cool. But if all you have is the criticism and you can't move past the criticism to actually displaying the alternative, what conversation are we having? Okay, you have criticism of Obama. What if he wasn't ever there? You have criticism of Kamala. What if she was never there? We would still look at this country and criticize it from the standpoint of, see, they ain't never had a black president. They ain't never had a female black president, vice president. That would still be a slight on the country that it never happened. If it was 2023 and we had never had Obama, like it would be like we would look at this country, it wouldn't be able to have any type of progressive lean and progressive face at all. Now, what I need is to recognize, though, is I understand more than anybody fully how this type of participation doesn't solve the issues. But again, if you listen to understand, it's about playing defense. You still got to play defense to some capacity. And politics, if anything, is how you play defense. It's not the answer. Organizing in communities is the answer. Because you see dude even say here, if Trump was in the same position, the same thing would have happened. And then he would be making the same argument. Then he would just be talking to Republicans. But it would be the same conversation. It's a script. It's like a political programming. Niggas think that they really going too far left to where they getting outside the box, but you really controlled opposition. You are using your extremism. What up, more one in the building? You're using your extremism to make people silent, to really make people not do nothing. Think about that. Y'all, you talking about you gonna vote shame people who say lesser of two evils, but your alternative, your response is just don't do nothing. But we got two more, and then we're gonna get to where all these people get it wrong. We're gonna get to make sure y'all say what's up in the chat. Chat looking kind of light. So y'all say what's up, everybody that's in here. Now this is somebody that I gotta lock it in with him, but this person I may be debating on Saturday. I just gotta lock it in with him. But this is their comment. This argument is ridiculous. Again, I'm making the lesser of two evils argument. That the alternative to the Democrats is worse. Like, now again, I'm defending that position. I'm gonna stand on it. If anybody listening now, if y'all want some of the smoke on it, I will be the one defending the position for people who feel like they're willing to vote Democrat to make sure that the worst alternative don't happen and eat all the smoke that come with it. But this individual here, to the people, all the power, feels that this argument is ridiculous. Democrats are walking hand in hand with Zionists, and they're not a party that promotes dangerous people. Democrats actively use the courts to keep the Green Party and other leftist parties off the ballot. Wrong. But they don't participate in voter suppression. Ask Democrats to expand black studies to include the black radical tradition and watch them ban books. And these are all lies. And once we get through the comments, I'm gonna break down how these is all lies. What is a false equivalency being pushed as political education? Why waste breath repeating the bullshit that people actually get paid for? We're about to bust down the lies. The first lie, that Democrats actively use the courts to keep the Green Party off the ballot, but they don't participate in voter suppression. The reason why Green Party fails is, I broke this down in the video as well, is from Duverger's law. Green parties can't win because we have a first past the post winner take all system. Look, you're talking about what voter suppression with Democrats? No, literally the type of electoral system that we have makes it literally impossible for third parties to succeed. I'm saying this is what y'all don't get. Democrats are not suppressing the Green Party. They don't appeal to enough people. That's really the simple math of it. And again, follow me on Instagram if y'all need that breakdown of what Duverger's law is. The second dumb argument that they make is talking about Democrats expanding black studies to include the black radical tradition and watch them ban books. Democrats aren't the one banning books. That's what Democrats are like. That's my whole response to that. Anybody who's paying attention to any of the book banning efforts knows that it's coming from Republicans. Ron DeSantis is a Republican, and he's like the face of it. The Mothers for Liberty is a Republican. These people don't know what they're talking about. Then he says, watch us now, both Dems and Republicans are building cop cities. And this is where I agree with. This is what I agree with. Watch us now, both Dems and Republicans building cop cities. I definitely agree with that. They are working together to build cop cities. They've also worked together to gerrymander as well. It's like, don't think that just because I'm arguing for the lesser of two evils that I believe that like Democrats don't deserve criticism. How simple is like are these? I mean, for a lot of people, how simple is the way that you think about politics? Like, it's a web of things that's happening. It's all interconnected. But this individual is just all like way off on every aspect, on a very basic level. How do you not know who's banning books, but you complaining about? Name the Democrat that's banning books. If anybody can find a Democrat that's banning books, I'll pay you. I'll pay you. We got one more comment we're gonna take a look at. And we're going to get into the information. Now, this is actually one person here who really tried to answer the question of the Trump effect that I brought up with Donald Trump. And we're going to talk about that more a little bit tonight. But they said that, so asking people to just prove that it's just that nobody denied Donald Trump or the Trump effect. So asking people to just prove that it's just you trying to distract from what they're saying, trying to ask you because you know you don't like the answer. Y'all gotta slow down. Like, people, really. Like, if I know you bring the smoke, but slow down. What you were asked was, what do you think about black people are exposed to more? The Trump effect or mass incarceration and militarized policing? Not trying to assume you'll tell us you're the expert here, right? I'll wait. I guess my response here was exposed to more. Y'all kill me with these questions. Yeah, I'm done typing. Unless y'all comment warriors are willing to accept a formal debate on the topic, I'm done responding. Y'all not equipped. Now let me explain why I definitely painted this individual as not being equipped. All right. When they get here and say the Trump effect, or which one is they exposed to more, the Trump effect or mass incarceration and militarized policing? Like, let's think about what's being said. What she's defending is people asking about genocide. Not mass incarceration and militarized policing. And if the concern really is militarized policing, then we would recognize that our police actually get trained by the Israeli Defense Force. So what we see going on in Israel is also a reflection of the militarized policing that we see here in the United States. The kicker is it's non-unique to the actual president. This is U.S. policy. So the bringing up mass incarceration and militarized policing versus the Trump effect ain't even the conversation. It's not even the discussion. That's why it's like, what is it really that you're wanting me to respond to? All right, so these comments kind of exemplified, and it wasn't majority, right? Like, it was a few people that had spoke, but it was a lot of people that felt me. But these comments more so kind of exemplified like the attitudes that people have when it comes to somebody arguing on behalf of the lesser of two evils. Because we are now living in a political environment where, again, like dude said, it's appropriate to vote shame people that, I mean, admittedly, probably, yeah, like used to be the vote shamers. Right, so the people that was like, you need to vote lesser of two evils, and if you don't, you messed up because you don't care and all that. So I would agree that those people were the vote shamers at first. They started that shit. I'll agree. But what I will say now is that logic is still more productive than the people that's saying we shouldn't do nothing at all. That we shouldn't involve ourselves, like we shouldn't vote for anybody, right? Just like because the system is a problem. And now we're about to get into where that logic really falls apart. Let's get into where that logic really falls apart. And my main criticism with these people in these arguments. Let's get into it. Let's start here. What we're going to start with is the ballot of the bullet. Because as much as dude want to think that it's like appropriate to vote shame, or even think that they got the room, like people that saying like, oh my God, both sides are bad, so you shouldn't vote at all. So they feel like they got the room to vote Shane. Listen, this is where y'all fuck up. The ballot of the bullet is how it's supposed to be. The ballot of the bullet is how Malcolm X understood what it should be. And I'm actually gonna throw y'all a bone because we're gonna look at very specific arguments that Malcolm X makes. Now I'm a student. I'm a student of Malcolm. I shape my legal understanding, my political understanding, what we should care about, what's important, all of that. I get it from Malcolm. And the ballot of the bullet is like foundational to that. You feel me? So what I mean where the ballot of the bullet indicts all the arguments that the comments that I just responded to and arguments similar to those, the ballot of the bullet indicts those because it's supposed to be a more active, a more valid alternative. The ballot of the bullet says we're going to engage in politics the way you're supposed to. We're going to pick leaders. We're going to politically organize, and then we are going to vote for those leaders. Okay, that's how Malcolm X is envisioning what you'll see him describing as the political philosophy of black nationalism. But we don't get that. These comments and the people who make these arguments, you don't hear from them any other time when the rest of the world ain't talking about voting. They're not telling you, hey, let's groom and build our own candidates for our own communities. So when the next election roll around, we got somebody we do stand for instead of just saying we don't like who's available, right? We don't want them giving us candidates because we don't like what we see. We're actually working and doing what we can to put our own candidates out there. You don't see these people doing that. You don't hear that conversation. It's only either anti-Trump or anti-Biden. It's never any pro this individual who represents and reflects our community. Especially at a time when an election ain't even happening. You don't see it. So how can you literally feel like you're at a point where you can make a claim about shaming anybody when your answer to political engagement is to do nothing? Oh, excuse me, not do nothing. It's the ballot or I'm going to write a really mean comment. I'm going to post a really mean blog. I'm going to share a really mean TikTok. Because I'm upset, the most that I can get people to do is share a TikTok that everybody agree with. That's the level of political engagement that we see from people who think they got the moral high ground to shame somebody in a political engagement. And I'm sorry, listen, I love all y'all. And I know it's a lot of y'all that really feel like, Damo, you on some, you know what I'm saying? You on some bullshit. But I'm dealing with the reality, folks. I'm dealing with the reality. It's the ballot or the bullet. It's not we try, and then if we try it don't work, you know what I'm saying? We going straight to the message boards. I'm going straight to the comment sections. Literally, we are now in an era where people feel like doing nothing is a better option. As if there aren't people. Think about it. You have people actively working against you, and your decision is to say, well, look, if they working against me and I don't like what these other people are doing, then I'm just gonna sit back and take it. That's all that's being said. That's all that's being said. Eman, you said, I agree with what you're saying. The lesser of two evils argument seems to really piss people off. It does. It does. And it's not popular. It's not spicy. Right? That's why these type of conversations struggle. These, you know what I mean? I really wish I had some more ridiculous shit to bring y'all. I really think, I really do. I wish, but you know what? I'm about to connect this to some pop culture shit right now. Right. I'm about to scratch that pop culture itch that everybody always feel. Cardi B recently came out to talk about her disappointment with Joe Biden. And she said because of how disappointed with Joe Biden she was, that she's no longer endorsing any president any president ever again. Think about that. Malcolm said in 1964, it was the year of the ballot of the bullet. In 1964, he said that's what he said was cracking. It's 2023, and the celebrities for whatever reason who got to be the face of whatever political movement black people, you know what I mean, are a part of in the first place. Whatever, since they got to be attached to it, they can't maintain it. She's now, I give up. Not let me like nah. I'm gonna focus more, and this is Cardi B, right? I'm gonna focus more on finding black talent. Dedicating money to programs to teach, political advocacy and community organizing. No, I'm just gonna stop endorsing. Like, come on, man. And the fact that don't piss more people off, really, that's what drives me the most crazy. There's another alternative other than the lesser of two evils, or we don't do nothing at all. But the lesser of two evils becomes what we end up having to do because black people's minds can't be broken out of this whole Democrat-Republican paradigm. We can't escape it. It's just the reality of like how we think and how we operate. So every conversation kind of gets sucked into that. And so of course the things that I'm saying, even though I started the Political Plug brand, go back to my earliest TikTok videos, YouTube or Instagram videos, YouTube videos. I am not a Democrat. I am black. Democrats have hijacked black talking points to the point where when people just say things that black people care about, they immediately attribute it to the Democratic Party. That is brainwashing. I don't know how many times I done broke down and explained that I'm not a Democrat. But because they sound like me, like people will literally be like, man, I don't know, I don't believe you. Why the fuck? What reason do I have to hide or disguise that fact? I'm a registered independent. Why do niggas think I need to hide the fact that I'm a Democrat? I'm literally already arguing on behalf of them being the lesser of two evils. The fuck else would that makes no sense to me, but niggas would rather tell me that they don't believe that I'm not a Democrat because they can't take their mind out of that paradigm. If it sound like a Democrat, or if it sound like something a Democrat would say, damn it, they a Democrat. If it sound like something a Republican would say, damn it, they a Republican. That's brainwashing, folks. Maurice Duverger, political scientist, explain how, political parties, how they function, specifically how they function in the United States, end up becoming more about propaganda than actual policy. It's more about tapping into how people think and controlling how people think than producing actual policy and results. That's what I'm trying to get niggas to do. Break out of it. You have been made politically moot because you want to break out of it, but your only conversation, since it's only about those things, since that's all you can keep up with, your mind still gets stuck in, oh, I'm gonna argue about the Democrat candidate or I'm gonna argue about the Republican candidate. Like Stacey Abrams should have got so much more love and support from the black community, especially with where she was at. But you know how much bullshit she had to deal with? Whether or not black men supported her, everything else. It's always a bunch of nonsense that our productive black candidates have to deal with. And since our minds are still stuck in that kind of paradigm, we end up undermining what they can do. You have black people really tearing down somebody like Stacey Abrams because she was a Democrat. And that she worked with Democrats. Even though she did more for Georgia to turn blue, to send a black man to the Senate from the state of Georgia than anybody else. She got the least amount of respect for it. Let's get into this. Man, look. Let's get into this Malcolm X, because what this Malcolm X is gonna help us do. This is where we're gonna understand where niggas is coming up short. Now, first, I need to hip y'all on my political philosophy, what I learned from Malcolm X. All right. The political philosophy of black nationalism. It only means that if you and I are gonna live in the black community, and that's where we're gonna live, right? But if you and I are going to live in a black community, we must understand the politics of our community. And we must know what politics is supposed to produce. That is key. What politics is supposed to produce. You must know what part politics plays in our lives. And until we become politically mature, we will always be misled, led astray, or deceived, or maneuvered into supporting someone politically who doesn't have the good of our community at heart. So the political philosophy of black nationalism only means that we will have to carry on a political program of re-education to open our people's eyes, make us become more politically conscious, politically mature. And then when we get ready to cast our ballot, that will be a ballot that we cast for a man of the community who has the good of the community at heart. In Malcolm's eyes, the political philosophy of black nationalism, black people build their own political leaders. They put forth them political leaders to represent them. That's it. Where do these commenters go wrong? Where does the reverse vote shamers go wrong? The, oh my God, I can't believe you vote Democrat people go wrong? They don't do the other part. They recognize that, okay, maybe these like these people ain't on the up and up, but they don't do nothing to advocate for politicians that they willing to vote for. If you ask most of these people, well, what candidate did you support in the last 4 years? From when you was complaining about Hillary to Trump, right? Complain about Trump to Biden, and we complain about Biden. Who have you supported in that time? Who have you dedicated your mindset to in that time? Because if you can't say nobody, if you ain't dedicated, if you ain't sent like not $5 to somebody that you like, hey, I believe in you, I think you be great to represent our community. If you haven't done that, don't talk to me about having a problem with the lesser of two evils. We can talk about getting off the Democratic plantation, and we can talk about blindly following Democrats and blindly following people that we assume to be progressive who really ain't got our best interests at heart. Yeah, we can discuss that. And we're going to go over that in Malcolm's words too. But you're not about to tell me that you think that you're going to shame me when the second part that you're supposed to be doing, you're not there. You would rather tell people to not vote, to not be a part of the system, than advocating for somebody who should. Politics is going to exist whether or not you a part of it or not. I think the people think that it's like, oh, everybody should vote. No, if you don't believe in it, don't. If you're not educated on policy, don't. Leave it alone. Like, if you really ain't tapped in and really understand what's going on, and people be like, oh, that's elitist. How is it elitist? Folks is already saying, well, because XYZ, I pull myself away from it. Because of XYZ, I don't tap it. Okay, that means that's more programming. Both sides are programmed. Anybody telling you vote blue no matter who is programmed. Anybody that's telling you you shouldn't vote because both parties are the same is programmed. The political maturity that Malcolm X is talking about in the Ballad of the Bullet speech is discussing since we know that whoever come out of this community is going to represent us, who do we want to come out of the community? Yes, you can complain about who's in the community, but who do we want coming out of it? Man, listen. Why don't common sense go viral? Listen to me. Why don't common sense go viral? People would rather sit back and listen to somebody yell at them and tell them that they shouldn't get involved and don't do nothing than put the demand on that individual to use this viral energy to support some goddamn body. Anybody who? Politicians are created. They're bred. Take it from me personally. They told us to our face. Ask any policy debater, high school or college, policy debate. There's an argument when black people came into the activity and was talking about this activity is too white. When black people came into the activity and was like, listen, how y'all move in this activity is problematic. When white people started defending how they move in the activity, their argument was, this is the training ground for future policymakers. They told us this. This is text. That's why you got people like Ted Cruz. Oh, he debated and this individual debated. Yeah. They learned the bullshit that they took to the White House. They learned it in policy debate and they told us this. That means that politicians are shaped. They're molded. They are created. And it's our responsibility to do it. It's our responsibility to do it. But now that we understand the political philosophy, I want to throw all of those, oh my God, you vote Democrat people, you know what I'm saying, the bone. First, I'm gonna show them still, even with them getting a certain part, like the criticism of Democrats, right, where they still majorly get it wrong. So here Malcolm said, in 1964, it looks like it might be the year of the ballot of the bullet. Why does it look like it might be the year of the ballot of the bullet? Because Negroes have listened to the trickery and lies and the false promises of the white man now for too long. And they fed up. They become disenchanted. They become disillusioned. They become dissatisfied. And all of this has built up frustration in the black community that makes the black community throughout America today more explosive. Malcolm is saying if this shit is making us mad, we should become explosive. If we not feeling what they doing in terms of how they responding to us, we should be explosive, not sedated, not dejected, not removed. Malcolm believes that the black community in America in 1964 was more explosive than all atomic bombs that Russia can ever invent. Whenever you got a racial powder keg sitting in your lap, you're in more trouble than if you had an atomic powder keg sitting in your lap. When a racial powder keg goes off, it doesn't care who it knocks out the way. Understand, this is dangerous. He's not talking about y'all, though. He's not talking about y'all. And to be honest, he's not talking about the lesser of two evils shit neither. If we're being like blunt, both of those are concessions. Both of those are concessions. One of them is playing defense. One of them actually has an impact. It's the other. It's the ones that saying don't do nothing. Remove yourself. That's not an explosion. You have been diffused. Malcolm said that type of frustration, that type of disillusionment should make you explosive. Should cause action. Why are we even still having to argue about the lesser of two evils? Because we still bickering over candidates. Candidates that we are still allowing to be passed down to us. Instead of it being a more positive reaction to black people being involved, to black people actually taking a step to do more, to be in these spaces that we've been traditionally denied. Why is it smoke? Malcolm goes on to say that, and in 64, you'll see this young black man, this new generation asking for the ballot or the bullet. That old Uncle Tom action is outdated. The young generation don't want to hear anything about the odds or against us. Why do we care about the odds? Now, this is where we got to make something extremely clear. The ballot or the bullet is an ultimatum. The ballot or the bullet is saying we're going to engage politically. We're going to create our own candidates. We're going to support our own candidates. And we're going to vote for our own candidates. And if we put forth this work and we're denied, right? If we do all that we can and we're denied, we're straight up denied rights, then we got to turn shit up. It is what it is. We got to tear shit up. If we're doing all this work, if we're getting engaged and getting involved and doing all of this, we got to tear shit down. If y'all still not giving it to us, we got to tear shit down. It is what it is. That's what the alternative is supposed to be. Y'all not bringing the ultimatum, though. You got the nerve to shame somebody for saying that they're trying to mitigate the circumstances that we exist under? But you're not actually willing to fuck something up. The most that you can do because you mad at Joe Biden is get on the internet and hop in niggas' comment sections. Stop playing. What is the alternative? I'm definitely not gonna argue with anybody that's saying, hey, we building this on our own. We building it, we doing these things on our own. Those people deserve no smoke at all. Period. If you're building on your own, if you've taken your community in your own hands, now eventually what everybody gonna recognize is that even as you build on your own, you have to start building your own politicians to protect that. Everybody comes to that type of, like, that's the maturity. But if we can't protect it with our politicians, we're burning shit down. That's what it's supposed to be. You can't tell me you radical if you ain't got that alternative. You can't. I'm like that. I call myself a leftist. I recognize that, hey, when I first got into politics, that it's you gotta mitigate the circumstances somehow. You gotta have defense in these halls of power, or they're gonna run wild. Like I said earlier, would y'all rather have niggas not there? Would y'all rather have nobody there? Alright? We're gonna get through a little bit more of this Malcolm, and I'm gonna respond to some of them. Oh, it's just my feelings type shit. What Malcolm say? He said, now why does this loom to be such an explosive political year? Because this is the year of politics. This is the year when all the white politicians are going to come into the Negro community. You never see them until election time. You can't find them until election time. They're going to come in with false promises and make all these false promises. They're going to feed our frustrations, and this will only serve to make matters worse. This is where Malcolm agrees with all of the criticism. This is where I agree with the criticism of Democrats. This is where I agree with that. Nobody thinks that Joe Biden is the answer to the black solution. Nobody thinks Kamala Harris is going to elevate black people as a whole up with more strength politically. Nobody believes that shit. But until we have the type of unity and the type of cohesion that allows us to build our own type of candidates, to build, like, to really take control of our political bloc, the solution is not to remove ourselves. I can give a whole goddamn how radical you think you are. The solution, because removing yourself makes it worse. And for people, I don't care who can't get that. I don't call it vote shaming, whatever, but if you don't recognize how not doing anything, how only being able to articulate what you don't like and what you think is wrong, but not having a clear vision of what type of politician you would vote for. Because trust me, if your barrier for who you willing to cast a ballot for is no more genocide, you're never gonna cast a ballot. And I'm being honest. Like, literally, this is not about. Again, like, I'm really not trying to be on like some dark. This is not genocide good. Genocide is terrible. But I'm an Afro pessimist. I believe that genocide is the foundation of the society that we live on. We should expect it. We shouldn't be surprised by it. Not making it okay. But that's the better way to understand it, because if you are always surprised when you find out about a new genocide, your brain is going to fry. Your brain is going to fry. And then what happens is you get so caught up in trying to save the rest of the world that we forget that these elections have more to do with the circumstances here. They have much more to do with the circumstances here. But majority of the people on the listen, what it's like 3 or 4 people that you vote for in terms of like senator, president, and your representative, right, for your district. Them is 3 people that that can impact something that got to do with Israel and Palestine? 3 people. A ballot is much more than 3 people. So you didn't piss yourself off so much about the genocide that's happening in Palestine and how the 3 people in control that represent you federally, how they handled that you losing out on all the conversation about everything else down ballot. My favorite, you losing conversation on school board. You losing conversation on district attorney. You losing conversation on sheriff. All these elected officials that have more to do with the impact of where you live right in front of you. Because you that mad about Joe Biden, be mad about Joe Biden. But know the demon that you dealing with. I tell niggas all the time, and George and Toya hate it when I say this. Politics is a ugly game. Politics is not like you don't go in politics thinking that you're gonna be an angel. You're not gonna go in politics being a savior. You going into these political arenas to do battle, to fight on behalf of the people that you represent. And you do what you gotta do in order to do that. You be around who you gotta be around in order to do that. That's why when you got people saying like, I don't want to vote for somebody who funds genocide, then you're never gonna vote. If you don't want to vote for somebody who funds genocide, you're never gonna vote. The United States of America, the back of it is genocide. Both here and abroad. What happened to the indigenous Americans? What happens to black people? What happens to poor people? The concerted effort to imprison and murder and maim that still happens today. That's the basis of where we at. So you think that because you have a moral compass that you got to vote your moral compass, bro. If your moral compass is above genocide, you have to leave America. We make concessions about these things all the fucking time. Y'all care about this shit because it's in the news. Let's be real here. It only matters when it's in the news. It only matters when it's manufactured for you to care about it. None of you care about the Uyghurs. And it don't matter what's happening in the Congo. It don't matter that shit go viral. It don't matter that a nigga just set himself on fire. Because that's in Africa. The genocide of African people in the Sudan, in the Congo, and many other places, that's happening right the fuck now. The question is, can we shape and create politicians that can push back against that? How do we support Ilhan Omar? How do we support Rashida Tlaib? Rashida Tlaib, for example, someone who actually was censored by both Democrats and Republicans for being in support of Palestine. How do we support them? How do we make more of them? They're there. You have anti-Zionist politicians. The problem is they're surrounded by Zionist politicians or Zionist aligned politicians. They can't do nothing by their damn self. They need help. We have to put more people who reflect how we think in those positions. We got to stop bickering over the people that we don't even like. But the reason why we got to bicker over the people we don't like is because you niggas ain't supporting nobody. And I say you niggas, not the chop up folk. I love y'all. But I'm more so conversing with the people that, you know, whose comments we was going back and forth about. But let's continue. Where y'all at? Say what's up in the chat. Let me know that y'all rocking with me still as we get through this real information. It ain't sexy, but it's the truth. It's the truth. Let's go, Malcolm. I want to give the anti-democrat talking point some validity to show that y'all only got it half right. You only got it half right. You got the criticism right. What Malcolm says here is 22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. They see that the whites are so evenly divided that every time they vote, the race is so close, they have to go back and count the votes all over again. And that, which means that any block, any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Any block of votes that sticks together is in a strategic position. Now, right now, currently, black people, before I even say that, watch this. Because this is how, this circumstance ain't new. Right. Because what Malcolm said is, and despite the fact that you're in a position to be the determining factor, what do you get out of it? The Democrats have been in Washington, D.C. only because of the Negro vote. They've been down there 4 years, and there are all other legislation they wanted to bring up, they bought up and gotten it out the way, and now they bring up you. And now they bring up you put them first, and they put you last because you're a chump, a political chump. Talking about people who just vote. Black people that just vote for the Democrats. The party that you backed controls 2/3 of the House of Representatives and the Senate. And this is in 1964, folks. And still they can't keep their promise to you because you're a chump. Anytime you throw your weight behind a political party that controls 2/3 of the government and that party can't keep the promise that it made to you during election time, and you're dumb enough to walk around, continue to identify yourself with that party, you're not only a chump, but you are a traitor to your race. Now you may think, with Damo, I don't know. Is Malcolm talking about you? Hold on. Can y'all hear me? What's going on? Where y'all at? Say what's up. Oh, I told y'all to say what's up. I was wondering, y'all was like, hello, it's still here. I'm like, okay, making sure y'all can hear me. All right, we good. Let's keep it going. Now you may ask yourself, Damo, he talk about you because you're the nigga that's saying that it's better to vote for Joe Biden. And this is why I would rather have this conversation where I can explain instead of having to worry about typing it out in the comments where nuance is ignored anyway, and people only respond to what they want to respond to. The lesser of two evils argument is not a pro-Democrat argument. The lesser of two evils argument is a strategic argument. And the reason why is because there is a political party that does more to undermine even the smallest levels of rights for black people than the other. And with where we are now, with us not doing that second part, with us not doing enough to support candidates that could actually, you know what I'm saying, like really be productive, that could actually represent us, like the Justins in Tennessee. Because we don't have more of them, and because we need to get more of them, until we do, we need to vote for candidates that are more productive, that don't support policy that like gerrymanders a district, that don't support policy that enforces voter suppression. Like that's our choice right now. We need to vote to survive. We need to vote for strategic survival. Hold on. Actually, while I'm saying that, y'all, hold on. Let me check this score. I gotta check the score of the Chiefs game real quick. I'm tripping. I've been going in. Damn, we ended up losing. Patrick Mahomes got shut out. Okay. All right. That's another conversation. But damn. So, my argument is that I don't care if it's a Republican. If you find a Republican that's like, yeah, like this is my vision for the community, and it matches your vision, black person, and it's productive for black people, support them. Support them. Democrat, Republican alike, we need to become issue-based voters. Who we support needs to have more to do with what it is that they represent and the type of policies that they've stood for than what we think about them as a candidate. And their popularity and whether or not they on a talk show. That's where we've slipped up. We should not care about party. If y'all don't take anything else from what Damo be on, it's leave that party shit alone. Look for the strategic aspect. What's important? That's why we can't get past that other part. That's why we can't get past the other part. That's why we chumps. We chumps because we get stuck in the white on white violence that is Democrat versus Republican, and it don't go nowhere. We don't go anywhere. This is more Malcolm just kind of going in on Democrats. But this is what we really need to pay attention to. This is what we really need to pay attention to right here. This is why I say it's the ballot or the bullet. It's liberty or it's death. It's freedom for everybody or freedom for nobody. Right? That's the alternative. America today finds herself in a unique situation. Historically, revolutions are bloody. They haven't never had a bloodless revolution or a nonviolent revolution. That don't happen even in Hollywood. You don't have a revolution in which you love your enemy, and you don't have a revolution in which you are begging the system of exploitation to integrate you into it. Revolutions overturn systems. Revolutions destroy systems. This is where it get crazy. Malcolm says a revolution is bloody, but America is in a unique position. She's the only country in history in a position to actually become involved in a bloodless revolution. What is Malcolm talking about? How can America engage in a bloodless revolution? The Russian Revolution was bloody. Chinese Revolution was bloody. French Revolution was bloody. Cuban Revolution was bloody. And there was nothing more bloody than the American Revolution. But today, this country can become involved in a revolution that won't take bloodshed. All she's got to do is give the black man in this country everything that's due to him. Everything. And what is that? Autonomy. Autonomy. But even Malcolm recognizes that autonomy involves political engagement. That means allowing us to have politicians that represent us, that we pick, that we decide. They can't stop us from doing that part. There was nobody stopping us from supporting Stacey Abrams. We stopped ourselves. Bullshit gender wars. Bullshit, black men are more conservative, this, that, and the third. That type of bullshit confusion stopped Stacey Abrams from having more support for becoming governor of Georgia. We sent a black man to the Senate easy. But because we caught up in this and still, like, there was the conversation of black men doing more to support Trump, you know what I mean? Like, more black men to support, like, that's what I like. We always responded to the Democrat Republican shit. Malcolm believed that we could have a bloodless revolution and it required political engagement. He didn't mean go on TikTok and leave a whole bunch of wild comments calling niggas cowards and shit because they decide to vote. He also didn't mean vote unless there are two evils. But there's one that's more productive. Until we actually start to recognize the value of building these candidates, one is more productive. One actually give us the space to build these candidates. Even if it's with people that fake like they rock with us but really don't. That's better than the people that's actively working to undermine what niggas is doing. Actively supporting policy. And we're going to get into, it ain't even just a question of the supporting the policy. is actually who they encourage as well. So I want that to stick with y'all. When Malcolm is talking about a bloodless revolution, he's saying that black people building their own candidates, building their own political machine, having control of the politics of their community, allowing them to operate without that type of interference, then we good. We're not creating the candidates. We're not doing enough to support the people. If you're not viral, if you're not a celebrity, if you're not somebody that's with 100 million views somewhere, or in a movie or in a commercial, you don't have that influence. The fact that The Rock is on, he was on some talk show, and was talking about people that approached him to run for office. Come on. That means we know what people now, especially in the era of Donald Trump, all you gotta do is be a celebrity. Fuck it. That cherry's broke. All you gotta do is be a celebrity. And it is what it is. That's what gets in the way of our bloodless revolution. Who we value, who we care about. Niggas like y'all don't have to be the super radicals. It doesn't have to be that we have to burn everything down. We just got to build the political machine that could properly demand power. And that's not going to happen in one election. That's not going to happen in 2 elections. It takes time. It takes years, up to decades to build that type of shit. Now, let's be clear here. Us not having that really isn't just a question of what black people haven't been doing. There have been a lot of people getting in the way. Democrats and Republicans alike. We're not going to ignore that at all. But that type of resistance, that type of pushback, if we saying that what they've done, even in 2023, has pretty much handicapped us, then we got to do the bullet part. And if you're not willing to do the bullet part, you can't tell somebody, you can't shame somebody for saying lesser of two evils. You not willing to do the bullet part. You willing to do the comments and talk about how much you don't like it and don't like a candidate or whatever. But you're literally advocating for not doing either thing that actually shifts that'll change that. How long we been rocking out? Okay. We got just a little bit more left. We got just a little bit more left. And then we getting up out of here. And this is really because I want niggas to understand, like when people are saying that a nigga said that it was like my emotions and my feelings was the reason why I was saying Republicans are more of a detriment. This is where like I feel like where lesser of two evils matters the most, and this is like the best argument for that. Because like what Malcolm is demanding requires a lot of organizing. And we don't have that right now. So in the absence of that organizing, what do? Right? And the one thing that we have to recognize is that the enemies of black people represent a very specific and very particular political party. The enemies of black people represent a very specific political party. What I want y'all to see here. This is the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Department of Homeland Security. What did it say? Strategic Intelligence Assessment and Data on Domestic Terrorism. All right. Now, this specific report makes a very specific claim. And it is that far-right white supremacists make up the greatest threat to domestic terrorism in the United States today. Far right, right wing, conservative Fox News, Brett Bart, whatever Newsmax watching, yeah, them people. They are the greatest threat to domestic safety. Who do they target? People that look like us. This ain't about feelings, bro. That's how you know niggas ain't really tapped in. This shit is dangerous. This ain't no question of whether or not I just like Democrats or Republicans. I'm looking at the impact. I know that Democrats do fucked up shit. That ain't even a question. I ain't scared to admit that. Nah, I'm cool with all that criticism. But I bet you not gonna name something that's more of an immediate threat than this. You're not going to name something that's more of an immediate threat to public safety on a terrorism type level than far right extremists. All right. Now y'all look up that report yourself. But nah. Damn. Yeah, okay. We're gonna do these last two and then we're gonna get out of here. All right, I got two specific reports. First, this is where the FBI identifies it themselves. Like as a matter of domestic safety. That's where they identify that. This here, and I'm sorry if you've heard me talk about this before. I'm sorry if you've heard me bring it up before. But goddamn it, when somebody is telling me that the only reason I'm against Donald Trump and Republicans is because based on feelings, this is where people don't know what they're talking about. Okay? This report, the effect of President Trump's election on hate crimes, concludes, using data from this study, we offer a novel theory that builds on the existing literature on the causes of hate crimes. We hypothesize that it was not just Trump's inflammatory rhetoric throughout the political campaign that caused hate crimes to increase. Rather, we argue that it was Trump's subsequent election as president of the United States that may have validated the rhetoric in eyes of perpetrators and fueled the hate crime surge. Now, this is one report on the Trump effect. It's another report that talks about how elitist speech kind of validates radical extremist thinking, which kind of encourages them to do that action as well. We don't have time for that one. We may go over that one on another one. But what has to be understood is that when we're talking about the lesser of two evils, this is the shit that we describing. Like this, we about to go just straight to the conclusion because niggas don't really care about the math anyway. And if they want to challenge the math, the report is public information, so you can get the public information, challenge the math, and challenge the data collection if you want to. But when we get to the conclusion, it says that we find compelling evidence that Donald Trump's election may have contributed to the national increase in hate crimes starting during the fourth quarter of 2016 and continuing through 2017. Specifically, we estimate that Trump's election contributed to approximately 0.13 additional hate crimes per county per quarter. Given that there are 3,151 counties nationwide, this means that Trump's election may have led to around 410 additional hate crimes nationally per quarter, or 2,048 additional hate crimes since his electoral victory. Shut up talking to me. Don't talk to me about no emotions. I don't fuck with Democrats either, but show me Democrats doing this type of shit. I hate what's happening in Israel. I really do. These things should not be in conflict. I should be able to look and see what's happening in Israel and be against it, while also still recognizing that somebody like Donald Trump being in office is a detriment to like the public safety of black people. I can recognize those two things. If we had if a better alternative was there, if the political organizing was there, if we was able to break out of the paradigm of the Democrat Republican brainwashing, it wouldn't be just Trump versus Biden. It wouldn't be that. Black people would demand more of a say by showing early on. Like, listen, once they knew that black people was gonna vote for Barack Obama, it was a wrap. They supported him. Because how many black people ran for office before that? Barack Obama wasn't the first black person to run for office. They saw the support that he garnered. That's the power that Malcolm is talking about we had. They saw that support. That's who they put they power behind. So this isn't about Joe Biden specifically. Just like what's happening in Palestine isn't about Joe Biden specifically. It's about him and all his colleagues. It's about U.S. policy. It's about maintaining a U.S. interest in the Middle East, maintaining a U.S. stranglehold in the Middle East. That's what the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is about. The empire as a whole. That the empire as a whole, let me say this, and we're gonna get back to the numbers. If y'all hear anybody say that voting for Joe Biden validates genocide, this is what you need to understand. The existence of the United States of America as a nation validates genocide. Its entire existence. Whether or not Joe Biden is in office, or Donald Trump for that matter, both of them could, God forbid, fall down and, go on to glory tomorrow. And we're still going to have the same conversation about Israel and Palestine. Because as long as the United States federal government exists, the genocide that's necessary for the empire to maintain itself is still going to be there. So you're not going to tell me that this thing that's not unique to any one president, I should value more in my voting calculus, in my election calculus. This thing that we can only mitigate, we can't fully change, we can mitigate it through voting. But if your concern is validating genocide, ain't no way to escape that. Civil society stands on the death of black people and indigenous people, specifically brown people overseas. The subjugation and the death of Palestinians is being done by the same power. The subjugation of black people and the death of Palestinians is being facilitated by the same empire, as well as the genocide and the erasure of indigenous Americans. It's being done by the same thing, the same entity, not one politician. So I'm not going to ignore the fact that Donald Trump leads to 410 additional hate crimes per quarter, or 2,048 additional hate crimes since his electoral victory. That's unique to a candidate. It's literally named after him. Trump effect. Let's see why. Using the same methodology, we estimate that September 11 terrorist attacks contributed to approximately 0.25 additional hate crimes per county, roughly 2 times more than the election of President Trump. Let's put this into context. September 11th, the hate crimes that spiked after September 11th is the hate crimes that we saw against Muslim Americans. That was a terrorist attack. False flag, call it what you will. But they used that Bin Laden's attack and all of that as a justification to harass and terrorize Muslim Americans. That was the highest jump in hate crimes we've seen since they've been recorded. The election of Donald Trump was the second highest. Its only competition is literally a terrorist attack. The election of Donald Trump led to the second most hate crimes, second only to post 9/11. The report goes on to say that all of this to say the apparent Trump effect is far from insignificant. If true, the Trump effect is around 33 times larger than the effect on hate crimes after terror attacks like those in Orlando, Florida, or San Bernardino, California. So that means that the Muslim American involved in the Orlando, Florida hate crime and the San Bernardino shooters, it was 33 times larger than those Islamic hate crimes. It says here that while it does not rival the spike in hate crimes after September 11th, there's evidence to suggest The Trump effect may have contributed to statistically significant uptick in the number of hate crimes rivaled by few other events in modern American history. That is specifically particular to a candidate. Let me say it one more time to be clear. An uptick in hate crimes that are targeted to people of color is unique to Donald Trump. The president aligning themselves with Israel is not unique to whoever's in office. That's lesser of two evils logic. That does not mean I don't care about genocide. That does not mean that I justify genocide. That means that I recognize that genocide is not validated by voting. It's the existence of this country. And the only reason that people make themselves think that validating genocide is a question of who you vote for, is so they themselves feel empowered. Not because it actually does anything. That's why if you ask them, they'll say, well, no, it wouldn't be different under Trump. It wouldn't be different under so-and-so. It wouldn't be different under Obama. It wouldn't be different under Clinton. It wouldn't be different under Bush. It wouldn't be different under Reagan. Jimmy Carter may be the only one who, actually had, and then his wife died today, so rest in peace to her. But Jimmy Carter may be the only one to actually, and be like, well, maybe not me. We have this very specific thing that is unique to this one candidate. But the thing that's not unique at all, it's just glamorous in the headlines right now. That's what you telling me should cause me to not be involved, period? Again, the election of Donald Trump is rivaled only by, or surpassed only by, post 9/11 and hate crimes. That is unique to the candidate. Now, we talked about what's unique to the candidate. Let's talk about what's unique to the party. All right. Let me just tap in. See who's still with me. All right, we closing out, y'all. We almost there. I appreciate everybody that was rocking out. Everybody hit the like button. I know it's not sexy. We're not talking about celebrities. We're not talking about relationship advice, gender wars. We literally talking about lesser of two evils voting. You can't get more non-sexy than that. And we looking at data too. We looking at data too. But we're gonna blow up with this shit anyway. Let's switch it up over here. All right, now what I want y'all to see here. This is another report. This is another report that we've talked about on the Chop Up. That we broke down on the Chop Up. And it helps us understand why the Republican Party is uniquely dangerous for black people. All right. Why, as much as shout out to Chris, Andrea, Emmanuel, been rocking out with me for this hour and a half. Y'all been doing y'all thing. I appreciate it. But let me pull up this. Where is it? All right, here you go. All right, so first let me show y'all now. This is from the Anti-Defamation League. It's really fucked them because when I opened the website, it was like we stand with Israel. So it's like, but you do consider the source. You got to consider the source. But recognize though the information is valid still, even though the source is suspect. But what it broke down is it talks specifically about where extremist related murders are coming from. And to save y'all a lot of the nonsense, let's get right to the data. Not nonsense, but they describing a lot of rhetoric here. And we've been here a while, so let's get right to the data. Mass shooting victims dominate extremist casualties in 2022. All right, so here the data we just went over, right? The spike in hate crimes, 2016 election of Donald Trump, boom, 78. Now we do see a decline from 2016 to 2017. We see an uptick in 2018, and we've seen a decline since. Well, for the most part, it's a small little uptick, right? But y'all see here, right? It's been declining for the most part. But you see that Donald Trump led to a spike in that shit. Now, even with its decline, I want us to recognize who's committing the most of the majority of these killings. If we just look at 2022, all of the 2022 extremist-related murders were committed by right-wing extremists. Who do we call the right wing? That is the conservative wing. Those are Republicans. That means that the policies, the culture, and the rhetoric of the Republican Party is influencing right-wing extremists. Now, what's even more unique is a particular part of right-wing extremism is white supremacy. 84%. All of this. So out of the majority of the deaths that we've seen from right-wing extremists who watch Fox News, who watch Newsmax, fans of Tucker Carlson, 84% of them believe in the supremacy of the white race, which typically encourages them to go out and commit violence against black people, people of color. Now, if we look here, between 2013 and 2022, right-wing extremists are responsible for the great majority of extremist-related murders. 75% of these 444 deaths since 2013. Y'all don't know what the fuck y'all talking about. I do not need to kiss Joe Biden's ass to tell you that conservatives represent a unique threat to the public safety of black people in this country. I don't need to ignore the genocide that's happening in Palestine, the deaths of children in Palestine, to understand that the right wing of our political system is a unique domestic threat. And they also go hard supporting Israel. Oh, also, at the more recent MSNBC Republican debate, every candidate except one was willing to say that they are willing to defund colleges and universities unless they actively outright banned pro-Palestinian protests. Flat out. Everything that, even though like Joe Biden was kind of like leaning towards supporting that, so like he's not uniquely special in that context, it ain't even a debate with the Republicans. Joe Biden got to deal with smoke from his own administration. People within Joe Biden's administration is calling him out. You don't see that with a Republican administration. You don't see that with right-wing politicians. They are a unique threat to the public safety of black people. Stop lying to people, telling them there ain't no difference between Democrats and Republicans. Show me the data that says that liberal extremists are committing the majority amount of the deaths of mass shootings that uniquely target black people. Show me the loud and proud white supremacists supporting the Democratic Party. And I don't have to kiss their ass. I can agree with every criticism of Joe Biden. I can agree with every criticism of Democrats, every criticism of Kamala, and still say that they are the lesser of two evils because of data, not feelings. Somebody show me the information that says that this is the same. Because until then, tell me, Like you gotta show me. Cause who really talking about emotions? Who really going based off feelings? Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. There's more people that watch Fox News that's willing to shoot up a grocery store. It's more people that watch Fox News that's willing to shoot up a church, to shoot up a school. It's facts. So, y'all hold on. Which comment was it? Was it this one? No, not that one. Look. What'd he say? But all his talks around Republicans are feelings based. Feelings based. But the data is right here. Right-wing extremists are responsible for the great majority of extremist-related murders over the last decade. But y'all, with that being said, I appreciate y'all tolerating me for this little hour and a half. Like I said, Toya will be back on Wednesday. We gonna get it in. I'm gonna as long as I keep making more of this content, y'all know I'm gonna be pissing a lot more people off. So we're gonna have another comment section coming soon. Really anything else, if it's anything y'all want to hear us talk about, hear us converse about, hear us break down, or if y'all don't even like what we saying, please hit us up on Instagram at The Chop Up Show. You can hit me up on TikTok at The Political Plug. Make sure y'all comment on the videos on the YouTube and everything. I've been over there on Instagram mostly, cause I think I'm about to start going on TikTok live. But TikTok is the wild, wild west, is what I've been telling folks. It's wild that like those lives, like I don't know. But with that being said, man, like I said, I appreciate y'all. We will be back Wednesday. I should have a debate line. I think I got a debate locked in for Sunday, but not necessarily a debate. He hit me up and was like, "Hey, can I come on your platform and talk to you about some of the things that you've been saying?" He disagreed, so I don't know if it's gonna be a debate or not. We'll see. But then one of them commenters, I told them like, "Hey, pull up," and they was like, "Shit, what's up with Saturday?" So I may lock that in Saturday if I got the time and availability to do it. I may lock that in too. So y'all be on the lookout for those. Those will be a part of the comment section joint. You know what I'm saying? So it's not gonna be like the debate shit. It's gonna be a part of the comment section joint. So y'all stay tuned for that. If y'all haven't hit the like button, hit that like button. Make sure y'all share. Make sure y'all put it on all your social media posts and all that. And until then, I'm gonna see y'all next time. This is The Chop Up, and I'm out.